Do I look centered? Does my face look crooked? Do I look like a cow?
No.
I have fun. Okay.
I have fun.
I have fun.
Should be some bloopers.
Oh yeah, they can go in the bloopers. Ugh. So this is a story time. So grab your Takis, your Cheetos, your popcorn, because it's gonna be a long video, most likely. And grab your tissues, because you might show a tear or two. Probably not, but you might. Hi guys. I haven't posted a video in a long time. Well, not that long. It's like been 2 weeks. 2 weeks, I think. It's been like 2 weeks, I think, because I live in Houston, Texas. And if you've been watching the news lately, you know that Hurricane Harvey hit us. And there was major flooding, and unfortunately my home did get flooded. So we were without water and electricity and stuff like that. And so no internet or cable, and that's why I haven't been able to record and post stuff. So this is going to be my story time about how I survived Hurricane Harvey. And I don't want to make this into a joke because it was really serious. But this is just what happened to me and my family. I know a lot of people lost everything. We fortunately didn't lose everything, but our house did get damaged. So I'm going to insert video clips I have from my phone, pictures, yada yada, so y'all can see the extent of the flood in our neighborhood, which was ridiculous. So it started raining like Friday. Damn, I should put like, I don't remember the dates. I should just put it like there. It started raining Friday night, and I was watching the news, and they were like saying, oh, there's gonna be so much rain and everything. Like, we knew there was gonna be a lot of rain, but there was never like a final notice for evacuation. And so it rained Friday night, all Saturday, and then Sunday morning. My mom woke me up to find that the water was all the way up to our door, which is insane because our neighborhood never floods. It used to flood back in the day, but not anywhere near close to our door. It was like half the driveway. But then they renovated the drainage systems, and it never flooded again. But Sunday morning, I woke up and the water was all the way up to my door. My room is the old garage, so now it's my room. So it's the first thing like at the front of the house. It's so flooded right now. It's almost in our door, Jose. We were all really shocked, but as the day went on, it started to recede a little. And it never completely stopped raining. It was always like a drizzle. If it wasn't drizzling, it was like pouring down rain. And so by around 1 p.m., 2 p.m., it started raining down really, really hard again, like pouring, torrential downpours. And we started to see the water rise up again. And it was getting closer and closer to our house. At that point, my dad started to try and prevent water from coming in by putting like tiles, bricks, some pieces of wood. But it eventually did get into the house, and it first got into my room because it was right there up against the driveway. And we ended up putting down a bunch of towels, some pillows, just to absorb all the water. And it was like really bad. We were trying to mop and everything just to prevent it from coming in. And I remember this one guy, he was driving around in his damn truck for some reason, and he passed by our house, not once, but twice. And so it was a lot of water in the streets already. And when he passed by, he caused waves. And when the waves hit, it made the water gush into my room. We were so freaking pissed. Like, it gushed into my room, it gushed into the doorway on the other side of the house, and my mom was like yelling at him to go away. I yelled at him. I was like, go away. And she was like, F you, like, why are you freaking like driving by our house that quickly in this freaking flood? And later on, another car passed by, and with the force of the water, because it was so flooded, it actually knocked down the fences of our neighbors, our front door neighbors. But it was ridiculous. So I think we tried for like about an hour to keep the water out. We were mopping. Me and my nieces were like using a wet vacuum my father had to soak up all the water, and we were just alternating. And at one point, it got to like, it used to be several minutes for the wet vacuum to get filled, but at one point it got filled like in a matter of 5 seconds. It was ridiculous. And so at that point, we kind of knew it was pointless to like try and prevent the water from coming in. And after shortly we gave up, we ended up finding that the water had gotten in from like random places that it's not accessible to outside with like a doorway. Like in our kitchen, it was coming in in through the restroom. One of our toilets started over flooding. It was really disgusting. And the whole day, our water didn't work, so we had to like pee and and crap like in bags and stuff. It was terrible. Once the water had gotten pretty high, my sister kept calling to make sure we were okay. And me and my mom didn't want to go because we were like, oh, it's not that high. But once it started really raining and we saw the water getting higher and higher, our sister got somebody to come rescue us. And I have an older sister who's in a vegetative state. She can't walk, she can't talk, she can't see, she's completely dependent upon us. And when you're in that kind of situation where your neighborhood is so flooded, it's really difficult to try and find out a way to like get out of the house with the disabled person's best interests at heart. And so my mom didn't want to leave because it was really dangerous. But my sister found somebody on Facebook to come pick us up. And so we all started packing, and by that time, it was like a good 5 inches into my room. And I was like so depressed. I felt like crying, honestly. And we were like sloshing around in the water, and I was packing up my little carry-on suitcase and another bag, and my family was putting stuff in like trash bags so we could take. Hey guys! Shut up.
Why do we have to leave all our stuff here?
My old room is completely underwater.
What's going on? What's that?
And once they had called us to let us know that they were outside, they couldn't enter the neighborhood because it was so flooded. The truck would have gotten stuck. So we actually had to wade through the water to the main street. And my father had actually tried to carry my sister, she's not like a fully grown person because she didn't fully grow, but she's still heavy. She's almost 100 pounds. And he tried to carry her out, and he came right back in because she's heavy, and wading through the water with her, it was going to be impossible. Fortunately, there were some guys with like an inflatable pool, which we were able to put my sister and mother in, and that's how we got them out of the neighborhood. We used it like as a little boat. And me, my uncle, my father, and my 2 nieces, we just waded through the water with everything that we could carry. I had my suitcase on top of my head because it was too heavy for me to carry it in my arms, and I was like, I'm gonna do it like how they do in Africa and put it on my head and use my big head that Jesus gave me for some good. That's how we made it out of the neighborhood. But the water was so high, it was like up to my shoulders. At the highest point, it was ridiculous. I felt like I was in a movie. Like, it was insane. And it took us a while to wade through because it's hard to walk through water. And my niece's hair, she's like shorter than me. It was like floating in the water, She was bobbing around. But it was actually pretty dangerous because none of us know how to swim. So if it was any higher, I don't know what the hell we would have done. And once we got out, there was like this furniture truck there, like those big moving trucks there. And I didn't know it was for him. And he was like, do y'all need shelter? And I was like, no. I was like, we already have a ride. But he was our ride. And me and my nieces and my uncle ended up getting in the back of the truck, which is just like a barren piece of wood, you know.
It's not gonna be hot while it's raining.
Well, then he's gonna forget that there's people in.
And my sister and my father and my mother went into the front of the truck, obviously, because she's more important. She has like special needs. And after that, we picked up another family that needed to be rescued, and it was this family with children and a grandparent and, you know, the mother and father, and they brought everything they could with them too. It was really sad. And we finally got to Gallery Furniture, which is, they were kind enough to let people use it as a, what's it called?
A shelter.
A shelter. But in our case, since we have Emma, her immune system is a lot weaker than other people's, than a regular person's. So it's a lot better to have her in a controlled environment where there's not like a bunch of people and like a lot of like germs and stuff, like people cough, you know. She could easily catch like a cold, and it's not a regular cold for her, like she gets really sick. So we ended up getting a ride from my uncle's friend named Cuba. I think that's just a nickname. But he thankfully came to get us, and by that time it was already like I think 8 or 9 at night, and we were cold and we were wet and it was still raining, and we were waiting outside of Gallery Furniture, and we were just kind of miserable because we had just left our home. And he finally came to get us, and we all got in the truck all stinky and dirty. He called his truck La Bestia, which is the beast in English. And he's like, La Bestia can go through anything. And he was just like, you know, driving through all the floodwaters and the freeways and stuff. And he was playing reggaeton. So I think it got us in a better mood a little. But finally, after driving through all that, we ended up getting to my uncle's house. And we showered. We didn't eat. There was nothing to eat. We just showered and fell asleep. And I could not go to sleep. I usually go to sleep late anyways, but just like the worry of what was gonna happen to our house, because it was raining. It never ever stopped raining. Like, y'all don't understand how much it rained constantly. And that's why Houston almost got like 50 inches of rain. That's why we got hit so hard with the hurricane. And I thought nothing was going to happen because it originally hit Corpus Christi, but once it moved over to Houston, it just stuck there, and all that rain just hit us. And it hit us the worst. And it's like one of the worst floods, I think, in American history, if not the worst. I think it is. But it was really terrible. And I actually cried that night because I was like so stressed. I was like, oh my god, we're gonna lose our house, we're gonna lose everything. I was like, what are we gonna do? My parents are older. Like, I was thinking like, Jesus, like where are we gonna live? All those things passed through my mind. And I was really paranoid because of the rain, raining so hard. I felt like my uncle's house was flooding as well, but it wasn't, thank God. After we all fell asleep, after I eventually fell asleep, I woke up to my father's phone ringing and him going to the restroom. And before that, we had forgotten my sister's Emma's, one of her bags, which contained a syringe to give her medications because she has a G button. She doesn't eat like a regular person, as well as her diapers. And my mom was extremely pissed and extremely stressed. She was like, how am I going to give her medications? Like, she needs to take them on a daily basis for seizures and different stuff like that. I think my father felt really bad because he forgot it. And he didn't know what was in it, so he didn't know to get it. I had gone with my uncle to like go try and find if I could find a syringe and some diapers. Mind you, everything is freaking closed. We ended up going to a gas station. I bought her like baby diapers. Baby diapers don't fit her. They fit her like a thong. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't fit her. And all I could find was like a little Tylenol medicine for babies, and it had like a tiny syringe in there, and that's all we could find. And so I bought that and I brought it back home, and feeding her with that tiny syringe took like an hour. like 30 minutes to finish like a full bottle of something. Bottle milk, bottle water. It was hell. So my father ends up feeling really bad about it. He ends up leaving like almost at 4 in the morning the day, like the same night that we get there at my uncle's house. And I'm like, where the fuck is he going? Like, and he never comes back. It's like 7 a.m. He's still not back. And at that point, I was getting really worried. I was like, did he get stuck somewhere? Is he in water? You know, shit like that. Stuff like that was running through my head. And we end up getting a call, and he's stuck somewhere. Not with water, but like the van he had borrowed from my uncle was broken down. And it was still raining really hard. And so at that point, he was trying to find a tow truck or a wrecker to come get him. And there was nobody open at that time because it was flooded. So he was out there practically all day, and the time he did find a wrecker, a truck, they charged him $600 just to pick it up. And we don't have that kind of money for him to be like paying $600 just to pick it up. And then after that, they were going to charge him, I don't know how much for each mile. So it would have come out to like almost $1,000, I think, which is ridiculous. So we couldn't use that one. And so he just kept looking and looking for more. It was still raining. He hadn't eaten. He hadn't slept really. And he was out there like in the middle of like the freaking flood with nothing. And we felt really bad. But he ended up getting it to work by smacking it around. I don't know what he smacked. The dashboard, I don't know, the engine, I'm not sure. But it ends up working. And so he calls us. He's like, hey, it's working. And we're like, okay, hopefully you make it home. It ends up breaking down again. And so he finally finds a tow truck to like pick him up then. But then the tow truck breaks down. And so him and the tow truck are there broken down together. And the tow truck is trying to find another tow truck to get them both. Which was like a complete mess. Eventually he finds somebody, and that person takes them home to our uncle's house. And he got home, I think, like around 5 p.m. He left at 4 in the morning, gets home like at 5. That's like a full 12 hours. We ended up coming back to our house a few days later after the water receded. And it smelled like complete shit. Like complete sewer water. It was disgusting. My old room is lower than the rest of the house. It was completely still filled with water. There was trash, bugs everywhere. Pieces of wood. It was awful. It smelled disgusting. But we still had our house. And so the next day we came back to clean, and it was really disgusting. All the pillows and towels and covers we had put down completely soaked up with water. Bugs everywhere. It was just awful. But we cleaned up, and during that time people had started to rob the houses because they knew nobody was there, and so people, evil, cruel people, were taking advantage of that fact and robbing the houses of all their like possessions. And so me and my father decided to stay the night in our house while my mother and my nieces and my sister stayed with my uncle because they're the youngest and they need to be in a safer spot more. Me and my father stayed the night for several nights. We're still doing it now. And my mother is still at home with my uncle. But we ended up cutting the sheetrock, all the wet sheetrock. It's like 2 feet of sheetrock that we had to cut out, and that it absorbed up and got damaged. There's like some mold, but we like sprayed stuff and disinfected it and killed it. But it's gonna take a while for our house to get back to what it was, honestly. But we still have a house, so that's good. And we're just taking it day by day, honestly, trying to make it work, trying to go back to normalcy, in a sense. But yeah, it was a complete mess. That Thursday, the hurricane decided to hit. I had my driver's test. Got canceled, obviously, because it freaking flooded. And then I rescheduled it this week. On Tuesday. And it got canceled again because the area was still flooded. So I had to reschedule it again in a different location. But thankfully, I passed and it went through. And I want to say shout out to Clyde for letting me pass my driver's test because I'm going to start working Monday. But yeah, So that was a good thing that finally happened. But it's a really awful experience to go through, honestly. And I never thought it would happen to us, but it did. And all my prayers and blessings go out to those of you who lost somebody in the flood or lost your house or anything. I hope you get help and I hope you do better. There's still hope. But I like think of it as a new beginning, even though it's such a terrible thing. But yes, if you guys are able to donate to any charity or organization, I'll probably link some below. Please donate to the victims in Houston from the flood, because it was awful. It really was awful. And my family, even though we did get flooded and we had to evacuate, we are one of the lucky ones because we didn't lose everything. I'm really fortunate that we still have what we have. I'm trying to be positive. I have little nieces, and you know, it's good to show them a positive side of things and just be positive in general, even throughout the darkest times. So I hope everyone out there stays positive as well. We will get through this, things will get better, and you know, tomorrow will be a better day. So thanks again, and please comment, share, and subscribe. Please donate if you can. Please, 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 because a lot of people need it. And I will try and post a new video as soon as I can, once things get more controlled. Hopefully it'll be soon. But thanks, guys. Bye. Love you.
I held
You
my
held it
nose for
in.
you.
She was about to sneeze. She held it in. Booyah.